Now, no previous government has had to get to grips with immigration at a scale of this magnitude against the backdrop of a major housing crisis. Mistakes will inevitably be made. Communication won't always be timely or clear. But there are concerns now that we are being misled, deliberately or otherwise, and not just by far-right agitators, but by the very people we depend on to lead the way on this issue, our public representatives, both in opposition and in government. So I want to open this up to the audience before we go any further and just say, who do you trust to tell you what's going on with immigration? Would you trust politicians, can I ask you? Yes.
Hi, yeah, I would trust the government with their statistics and what they're telling us about immigration. What I'd be questioning is the entire discussion on immigration might be misleading us or misdirecting us from the real causes of issues facing the country, like the housing crisis and the cost of living crisis. And immigration is being used by a lot of parties as a scapegoat for these issues, which are the real problems facing Ireland.
OK, yeah, yourself there at the back.
I feel like I would trust any politician that isn't Matthew McGrath for saying that Ireland is being colonised again is a disgraceful statement to make.
OK, we'll be asking Matty about that as we get through the programme. Anyone on this side of the House? Yeah, just 1 second, I'll get a mic to you.
Yeah, I think, the narrative out there, like the conspiracy theories, they don't just apply to one part of society or one group of society. So those conspiracy theories are coming out in social media in a way that previously couldn't have happened. But equally, conspiracy theories around politicians. Politicians are not all bad people. They're not all out for themselves. But equally, immigrants are struggling people that need a place to live, like many Irish did in previous generations. So I just think it's not, what faces the current generation is not access to information. It's been able to interpret that information with a critical mind and critical thinking, and not be taken in by populism that sort of creates an easy narrative for us to interpret. But that easy narrative is trying to interpret as something that is very complex.
OK. It's complicated, as they say, indeed. Of course, the latest flashpoint for immigration policy is Roscrea, where the only hotel operating in the town, Racket Hall, was closed down overnight and is now being used to accommodate families seeking international protection. And I want to welcome you, Alison Hines-Lee. How are you?
Good, thank you, Katie.
You have a pub in Roscrea. Alison's at Lily O'Brien's. And I do want to welcome you because I know you were actually reluctant to come into studio to us tonight, because you, and I know many other people in Roscrea, are upset by how you feel the media have portrayed you in Roscrea.
Yes, I think that there has been a lot of selective reporting about Roscrea and about what has been happening. I think that for us, for the people of Roscrea, it's about protecting our only hotel that was shut down overnight. The people that work there, no thought for them. There was no communication from the government. Our town is affected, our businesses are affected, our people are affected. We're already saturated. We already have welcomed 600 people into our community, happily integrated, perfectly fine. And now the government have made it more lucrative for a working hotel to house and close down another 160 IPAs.
OK, and I just want to be clear about this, because as we say, we're trying to be very careful about what information we're saying. We're being told by the department it's 491 between Ukrainians and international protection applicants are currently in Roscrea, and that they're saying yes, up to 160 may be accommodated ultimately in Racket Hall. They're the figures that they're giving us in terms of, but that's a lot of people for a town the size of Roscrea.
We feel it's a lot more. Obviously, I can't argue with your official figures because that's what you have, but we certainly feel it's a lot more. Our doctors are overburdened. All our guards, like our guard station is closed at 4:30 every day. So how is it supposed to cope? How are we supposed to cope with more people? You cannot keep filling the cup up. Our cup is already full.
In terms of what that hotel meant to the town, Racket Hall, because I think maybe there isn't a great understanding of, in a small town like Roscrea and around the country, if there is only the one hotel for the communes, for the funerals, for the, you know,
For the weddings.
For the weddings.
Yes. Well, we had our eldest son's 21st meal there 2 weeks ago. We have eaten there many times over Christmas. My husband's sisters have had their weddings there. My mother-in-law had her 70th birthday there. There is no other place large enough to cater. There are local clubs that have had to move their dinner dances to other towns. That's business gone out of the town. The golf club is suffering. Bus companies are suffering because of tours being cancelled, and we've had to move stuff.
Can I say, the protest is still continuing, as I understand it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, I hear what you're saying about the concerns, and I do, you know, I understand what you're saying about the large numbers that you've already welcomed and that there was no issue with. But what do you say to people who say you should never be protesting outside a place that's accommodating women and children?
Well, where else can we protest? They closed down our only hotel. Where can we meet? Where can we gather? That's what we had, and it's taken. Where do we go?
Okay. Thank you again for coming up to us tonight, Alison. I'll go up behind you there to Niall O'Callaghan. Niall, you're a hotelier. You're also an independent councillor down
Katie, how are you?
in Kerry, down in Killarney. Can I ask you just the conversation we were having there at the start? We know that Killarney is accommodating a large number, probably one of the largest numbers in the country.
The largest number in the
country.
country.
Is it the largest number?
Yes.
Were you, as an independent councillor, given, you know, kept up to date with developments in relation to these?
We got one email, and that email came just before Christmas that there is a certain amount of people coming and please make them welcome. And that's all we've had for the last 18, 19, 20 months. And as a local politician, we're getting it. We're getting the phone calls. We're meeting the people on the streets. The TDs are up in Dublin. They don't meet the people on the streets every week. We're getting stuff all the time. And a lot of the stuff, and it's very important for the government to understand this, a lot of the stuff is make-up and make-believe, but people are giving it legs. Why? Because there is absolutely no proper communication lines to tell people, look, what you heard last night in the street, that's false. There's nothing, and the best thing that could come out of this, and the best thing from a Killarney point of view, because everybody's talking about the town I love, and I love it to bits. It's the best town in the world, and we've welcomed people for 300 years, and we'll do it again, and we're doing it right now. And the biggest problem I have is this perception that people think, oh, all the hotels in Killarney are full. It's not. We have 40% of our accommodation product is gone between Airbnbs, guest houses, and only a small amount of hotels. So Killarney's open for business. But the problem is, it's the downstream businesses. The government aren't helping us. We're really struggling. My mum's got a small, she's 87, she runs it 7 days a week, a small hotel in the middle of Killarney. And we're looking over our shoulder wondering, how are we going to make a living? When you take 40%, and this is realism, nothing to do with racism, because I don't have any truck with that stuff. It's very important to understand. If you take 40% of the spend power off the streets, it affects the downstream businesses, the small cafes, the small pubs, the small restaurants, who are really struggling right now because you put a VAT increase on and you put all these other different increases on, and you have a tsunami coming on the 1st of May when you want the debt warehousing from COVID to be paid. So I'm asking the government, and I want to be, some of these programmes can get very negative, and I'm asking the government to, and Barry, we met before, and I want you to understand that there is solutions there, but the solutions need to come now. They can't come in May or June when these businesses are gone. And you've done so many good things. CRF fund, amazing. And then you turn around and give €1 million to a disability group in Killarney and expect them to find €1 million so that they can spend €1 million you gave them. Makes no sense. Just simplify things for people and get communication lines. And I guarantee you it'll be so much better in this country. But please understand, there is a tsunami of businesses about to go under, and we need help now, not 6 weeks' time, now.
Okay, Niall, thanks for that. I want to go to another Kerry woman now, Stephanie O'Shea. Good evening.
How are you doing?
You're up to us from Carsiveen. You're with the Carsiveen Business Alliance.
Yes.
And I have to say as well, you are going to run for Sinn Féin in the locals.
I will be, yes.
Yes. But we're talking to you from Carsiveen because you've had a massive increase in your population with Ukrainian and...
We were just under 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And we got an extra 500 people just into the town itself. Now, Carsiveen is a service town for the area. If you include all the villages around the area, you're just talking about slightly over 1,000 people. So a very small area taking in a huge amount of people.
A 50% increase in population effectively there. But we haven't heard about protests in Carsiveen.
No, it's not that we can't understand people, why communities have the issues. We have the same issues. But what is the point of protesting outside people's homes? And that's what they are. They're women, they're children. They needed help. We have the same issues. We lost all of our hotels. Tourism was our bread and butter in Carsiveen. So we've lost all the auxiliary services, especially the nighttime trade, the pubs, the restaurants, have suffered hugely. But I think that anger in some parts of the country has been misdirected. It's being directed at refugees and asylum seekers. It's not their fault. They didn't make the decisions. They weren't the ones that didn't come, consult with the community, talk to them. Well, how about this? We could explain to them, well, if you shut that down, all the hotels, we're going to have absolutely no businesses going in a few months.
Can I ask you, were there gains?
There was. We've been fighting rural depopulation for a long time. So having people and young people come in with young families was great. But even, it started out very well, but even then when we've gone back to say, and I know Kerry County Council have said, we're at capacity in Carsiveen, they will still put more in. And it affects not just the local people, but also the newcomers as well. Everybody says about services. Now, services were being eroded long before the newcomers came to town. We used to have 6 GPs in South Kerry to cover the South Kerry area. We're now down to 2. One is retiring in May. Yet at the same time, we have 4 qualified Ukrainian doctors living in Carsiveen. I often think that a little bit of joined up thinking, common sense and political will, we could get past a lot of these problems.
Okay, good positive note to end on there. Thanks for coming up to us from Carsiveen this evening.